The days on Seraphis 9 were not like the days back on Earth. The sunlight was softer, almost golden, filtering through the thick violet atmosphere and casting strange, shimmering shadows across the barren landscape. Alex had grown used to this alien beauty, but he was still very aware of the challenges the planet posed. Life at the research outpost was not easy. Every day demanded precision, effort, and cooperation qualities Alex knew humans had in abundance, even in the most unexpected situations. After the initial tension over the room, Alex and Leora had been cautious around each other. Sharing the same small living space required constant awareness. Leora was meticulous. Every object had its place, every schedule strictly followed. Alex, on the other hand, was more relaxed, often leaving tools or notes scattered across surfaces. At first, this drove her to distraction, and at first, Alex had been defensive, claiming he was more productive in what he called his creative chaos. But the planet had its own way of teaching lessons. One morning, as Alex was checking the energy levels of the solar panels, a sudden alert rang through the station. A storm was approaching stronger than anything the team had anticipated. Seraphis 9's weather was unpredictable, and these storms were capable of knocking out life support, communication, and the delicate research equipment vital to their mission. "Alex, get back inside, now!" She was already moving at a swift pace, her small frame almost dancing across the landing platform as the wind picked up, swirling fine violet dust around her boots. Alex ran, slipping slightly on the loose soil, but finally managed to reach the station's reinforced airlock. Inside, the storm hit in full force. The station rattled, lights flickered, and the hum of the environmental systems grew louder, as if protesting against the harsh conditions outside. "This is bad," Alex said, his voice barely audible over the roar of the wind outside. He looked around the cramped control room, his eyes meeting Leora's, who was already pulling up the schematics for the station's critical systems. "We need to stabilize the power core. If it goes down, we could lose oxygen and water circulation." Leora's expression was tight, but her hands moved with swift efficiency. "Exactly. And I hope you remember what I taught you about the backup circuits." Alex nodded, swallowing his fear. He knew he could handle the technical parts, but he wasn't as familiar with the station's emergency protocols. Still, the necessity of the situation pushed him beyond his usual hesitations. He followed Leora's instructions, connecting the auxiliary power nodes, rerouting circuits, and monitoring the fluctuating energy levels. As the storm raged outside, the two of them worked in close quarters, the small control room leaving little space between them. It was awkward at first. Alex was conscious of the proximity, as was Leora. They both avoided direct eye contact, each focused on the technical task at hand. Yet, despite their differences in personality, they began to recognize each other's strengths. "You're faster than I expected," Leora said without looking at him, her hands moving with precision. "I thought you'd fumble with these adjustments." Alex shrugged, trying to appear casual, though the tension in the air made his palms sweat. "I've had practice. Earth's storms aren't as dramatic, but the basics are the same. Just need calm nerves and a bit of ingenuity." Leora's lips curved slightly into the hint of a smile, though her focus never wavered. There was respect there, a quiet acknowledgement that human adaptability was perhaps the greatest asset on this alien world. Hours passed. The storm grew stronger, and at one point, a violent jolt shook the station so hard that both of them stumbled. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and a section of the main console sparked dangerously. Alex moved instinctively, grabbing Leora's arm to steady her. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and in that instant, the tension of the past days, the arguments about the room, the silent judgments, the awkwardness faded into the background. They were no longer just two individuals with clashing habits. They were a team, reliant on one another to survive. Every action mattered. Every decision carried weight. The storm outside was more than just wind and dust. It was a test of human courage, intelligence, and the ability to act under pressure. Node 3 is offline, Alex shouted over the alarms. I can reroute through the secondary line. But it's risky. We might overload the system. Leora's eyes narrowed. Do it. I'll monitor the feedback. We don't have time to wait for safer options. Working together, they rerouted the energy, sweating, shouting instructions, and making split-second decisions. And slowly, the hum of the station's systems began to stabilize. Lights stopped flickering, alarms quieted, and a sense of control returned. When the immediate danger had passed, they collapsed into the small seating area of the control room, both breathing heavily. The storm outside had not yet ended, but inside, there was a fragile calm. You know, Leora said, breaking the silence, I might have underestimated you. You're not just lucky you think ahead when it matters. Alex gave a tired smile. I guess humans can surprise even themselves sometimes. There was a pause. A quiet moment, where the sound of the storm outside was the only thing between them. And in that moment, the room, tiny, cramped, and shared, did not feel like a prison. It felt like a refuge. The next few days continued to challenge them. The storm had damaged parts of the station, forcing repairs that required teamwork in ways neither had anticipated. Alex learned to respect Leora's meticulous methods, and Leora began to appreciate Alex's ability to improvise under pressure. Slowly, their differences became complementary, and a quiet bond formed. They discovered humor in the little things, tripping over each other in the narrow corridors, debating whose turn it was to clean the kitchen area, joking about the one bedroom that had started it all. The shared hardships forged trust and respect, turning the cramped quarters into a space of collaboration rather than conflict. By the time the storm finally passed, both Alex and Leora had changed. They had learned that survival on Seraphis 9 depended not only on technology, but also on human ingenuity, flexibility, and cooperation. And in that shared challenge, they had glimpsed the power of what humans could accomplish when they worked together, even in the most restrictive conditions. As the violet light of the planet's twin suns filtered through the small window of their shared room, Alex leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. He looked at Leora, who was already reviewing notes for the next repair project. For the first time, he felt that their small outpost on this alien world wasn't just a place of work. It was a place where humans could thrive, adapt, and even find connection in the strangest of circumstances. And somewhere, in the corner of that tiny room, the old argument about the one bed felt trivial, almost humorous. Maybe, Alex thought with a tired grin, there really is room for both of us after all. The storm had passed, leaving the surface of Seraphis 9 quiet and strange. The violet dust settled slowly, revealing the alien landscape with an eerie clarity. Towers of crystalline rock sparkled under the twin suns, and faint trails of mist hovered above the frozen ground. The planet looked peaceful, but Alex and Leora knew that the calm was temporary. Seraphis 9 was unpredictable, and they had learned that surviving here required constant attention, careful thinking, and teamwork. The outpost itself had suffered minor damage during the storm. Several external sensors were broken, and a section of the perimeter wall had been partially crushed by falling rock. But what worried Leora most was the anomaly she had been studying: the mysterious signals detected under the surface of the planet. Alex, we need to check the readings from the southern grid, Leora said, as she adjusted the interface on the main console. Her finger hovered over a series of glowing icons. The storm may have disturbed the sensors. If the signal changes, it could be critical. Or it could be the discovery we've been hoping for. Alex leaned over her shoulder. You really think there's something beneath the surface? Something? Alien? Leora nodded. I do. And if we ignore it, we could miss it entirely. You saw what the storm did. This planet doesn't wait for anyone. The two suited up, grabbing helmets and portable scanners. As they stepped outside, the twin suns reflected off the crystalline rock, creating blinding flashes of light. Alex squinted, adjusting the visor, while Leora pulled out a small probe device. The storm had uncovered a shallow crater near the southern ridge. Strange, metallic fragments jutted out of the soil, glittering unnaturally. Leora knelt beside them, her gloved hands gently brushing away dust. This is unlike anything I've ever seen, she whispered. Alex crouched beside her, scanning the fragments. His fingers traced the sharp edges, careful not to damage anything. It's artificial. Definitely not rock. Some kind of technology, but I can't identify it. Leora's eyes sparkled with excitement. Exactly. This could be the key to understanding this planet, or the species that once lived here. Humanity has faced mysteries before, but this could be a leap forward. ND2. 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 For the next several hours, they carefully excavated the site. Alex worked with precision, using tools to lift fragments without cracking them. Leora documented every detail, noting shapes, patterns, and faint inscriptions that seemed to glow under her scanner. Despite the delicate work, the two shared quiet moments of humor. Watch out, Alex, Leora said, laughing softly as he almost tripped over a jagged crystal. You're going to bring the whole thing down on us. I think humans are stronger than they look. Alex replied with a grin, steadying himself. Besides, teamwork makes us unstoppable. Finally, they uncovered a larger object, a smooth, metallic structure embedded in the soil, roughly the size of a small vehicle. Its surface shimmered in shifting colors, and faint hums radiated from it. Alex's eyes widened. This is incredible. Leora ran her gloved hand across the surface. It's not just incredible. It's intelligent. See the patterns? They respond to our presence. Alex frowned. Respond how? Leora gestured at the surface. Small panels shifted slightly, forming symbols in a pattern that seemed intentional. It's adaptive, almost like it's trying to communicate. For the next several days, Alex and Leora worked together to study the artifact. Every discovery brought more questions. The device seemed alive in a mechanical sense. It reacted to touch, pressure, and even the patterns of human movement. The more they experimented, the more they realized that traditional tools and Earth-based technology could not fully explain its behavior. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long purple shadows across the outpost, Alex and Leora sat beside the artifact. Their suits were dusty and worn, but neither seemed to care. You know, Alex said, breaking the silence. I never thought I'd be sitting here on a distant planet, trying to figure out an alien machine with the only person I've learned to actually respect. Leora smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the artifact. I have to admit, I was wrong about you at first. You're resourceful, patient. Even when I wanted to throttle you over the room argument, you proved you could handle this planet. Alex chuckled. Humans can surprise themselves sometimes. And, I guess, sometimes, the challenge is what makes us better. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden change in the artifact. Panels shifted quickly, and a faint holographic image projected above its surface. The image was unclear shapes, symbols, and moving lights, but it was undeniably a form of communication. Look at this, Leora whispered. It's trying to show us something. Maybe directions. Maybe a message. Alex adjusted his scanner, analyzing the hologram. It's complicated, but if humans can figure it out, maybe we can understand its purpose. It's like it wants us to succeed. The realization hit both of them. This artifact, with all its complexity, required human intelligence, creativity, and intuition. It wasn't just a machine, it was a puzzle, a test, and a bridge to knowledge that only humans could unlock. Over the next several days, the two worked tirelessly. They experimented with patterns, tried different pressures, and used both logic and intuition to interact with the artifact. Slowly, the holographic projections became more coherent, revealing faint maps of Seraphis 9 and locations of what appeared to be other artifacts. "This is beyond anything I imagined," Alex said one evening, wiping sweat from his brow. "Humans, we're not just surviving out here. We're understanding, learning, adapting. That's something no other species could do this fast." Leora nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Yes, this planet, this artifact, it's testing us. But humans, we rise to challenges. We think, we improvise, we collaborate. That's why we're here, and that's why we might succeed where others fail." As they continued to explore the artifact, Alex realized something else. The cramped room, the long hours, the stressful storms, all of it had built a bond between them. Not romantic, but something deeper. Trust, respect, and shared purpose. In the face of uncertainty, humans could rely on each other, even in the strangest conditions. Finally, after a week of continuous work, they managed to activate a part of the artifact fully. A large panel opened, revealing a glowing core. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Symbols projected into the air, forming a pattern that Leora quickly decoded. "It's a message," she said, voice trembling slightly. "Not just data. Instructions. It's telling us how to access more of the planet's technology. This." Alex stared at the glowing core. "Humans, we didn't just survive the storm or the challenges of the outpost. We discovered something that could shape our future here. That's incredible." Leora smiled, finally allowing herself a moment of quiet pride. "Yes, and it all started with humans doing what we do best: adapting, learning, and working together." As the twin suns rose again, casting soft light across the crystalline landscape, Alex and Leora looked at the artifact. They knew the journey was far from over. The planet still held mysteries, dangers, and challenges. But they also knew that humans had the courage, intelligence, and resilience to face them. And in that moment, the cramped quarters, the one bed, the arguments, and the long hours all seemed trivial. Humanity was here, thriving, and ready to leave its mark on Seraphis 9. For Alex, for Leora, and for everyone who came after, the discovery was a reminder. Even in the most alien and challenging places, humans had the power to understand, adapt, and overcome. And in the quiet glow of the artifact, it seemed as if Seraphis 9 itself was acknowledging that humanity had arrived not just to survive, but to excel. The discovery of the artifact had changed everything for Alex and Leora. The quiet outpost on Seraphis 9 was no longer just a research station. It had become the center of human ingenuity, a place where the unknown could be studied, understood, and eventually mastered. But with discovery came responsibility. And both knew that the work was far from over. The mornings on Seraphis 9 were peaceful now, with the violet light of the twin suns reflecting off crystalline rocks like 1,000 tiny lanterns. The storm had passed weeks ago, and the planet had settled into its usual rhythm, though nothing about it was ordinary. Alex walked across the courtyard of the outpost, carrying tools and equipment, while Leora checked the sensors around the perimeter. Their movements were synchronized, a silent understanding that had developed over time. "You know," Leora said, glancing at Alex, "I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad you were assigned here. If it were anyone else, we might still be arguing over that one bed." Alex laughed. "Yeah, Who knew cramped quarters could lead to discovering alien technology? He paused, looking out at the horizon. Humans, we really do find a way, don't we? Leora smiled softly. Yes, and it's not just the technology, it's how we work together. That's what makes the difference. The artifact had continued to reveal its secrets. Panels and holograms now projected complex star maps and energy grids across the planet, and the two humans were slowly learning how to interact with it. They had discovered that it could provide power, knowledge, and even clues about other hidden structures on Seraphis 9. But the more they learned, the more they realized that the planet itself was a puzzle, one that required patience, intelligence, and creativity to solve. One day, as they explored a newly revealed underground chamber indicated by the artifact, Alex paused. The chamber walls were lined with an unknown metallic alloy, smooth and reflective. Strange glyphs covered the surface, glowing faintly in response to their presence. "Do you think anyone else has seen this?" Alex asked, tracing the symbols lightly with his gloved fingers. Leora shook her head. "No, not even Earth. This is ours to study. And humans, we have the patience, the curiosity, and the brains to understand it. That's why we're here." The chamber pulsed as they moved deeper inside, and they soon discovered a console-like structure at its center. It was similar in design to the original artifact, but larger, more complex. Lights shimmered across its surface, and it emitted a gentle hum, almost like a heartbeat. "This is incredible," Alex whispered. "It's like a command center, but for what?" Leora stepped closer, her eyes shining with excitement. "I think it's a control hub for Seraphis 9's remaining systems. Energy grids, climate regulators, maybe even terraforming mechanisms. Whoever built this, they left it for someone smart enough to figure it out." Alex's mind raced. And humans, we're that smart. Not because we're perfect, but because we adapt. We learn. We think creatively. Leora nodded. Exactly. Other species might fail because they rely only on instincts or pre-programmed behaviors. Humans, we survive by thinking, planning, and working together. That's why we're still here, and why we can thrive, grow. Over the next few weeks, Alex and Leora began activating parts of the underground hub. They rerouted energy from the main grid, powered dormant systems, and slowly brought the ancient technology to life. Lights brightened, sensors hummed, and the planet's hidden mechanisms responded to human presence in ways neither of them could have imagined. During one long night, after successfully activating a secondary energy node, Alex sat back against the wall, exhausted but exhilarated. Leora joined him, brushing dust from her suit. "You know," Alex said, staring at the glowing glyphs, "we've been through storms. We've argued over a tiny room, and we've faced alien technology that could have destroyed us. And yet, here we are." Leora smiled. "That's humans. We don't just survive. We adapt. We overcome. And we find solutions where others see only obstacles." There was a quiet pause, and the hum of the hub seemed to echo their thoughts. For the first time, Alex realized the depth of what they had accomplished. This wasn't just about survival or exploration, it was about proving that humanity had the intelligence, resilience, and creativity to succeed anywhere in the galaxy. The artifact, now fully integrated with the underground hub, began projecting a holographic image of the planet. Lines of energy traced pathways across the surface, revealing dormant systems, hidden caves, and untouched structures. Alex and Leora studied the display in awe. "It's beautiful," Leora said softly. "And it's all responding to us. Humans, we've unlocked something no one else could." Alex nodded. "We have. And it's not just the technology. It's how we think, how we adapt, how we trust each other. That's what makes humans unique." Their work became a rhythm, a partnership that combined intellect, courage, and patience. The cramped quarters of the outpost no longer mattered. They had become a home, a place of shared purpose and achievement. Every challenge they faced together strengthened their bond, not romantically, but as equals working toward a common goal. One afternoon, as they activated a system controlling the atmosphere near a valley, Alex laughed softly. Remember the one-bed argument? All of this, it started with that tiny room. Leora shook her head, smiling. I guess sometimes humans find greatness in the strangest places. Even a small room can teach us patience, cooperation, and maybe a little humility. As the twin suns set, casting long purple shadows across Seraphis 9, Alex and Leora stood side by side, looking at the illuminated valleys and sparkling energy grids they had brought online. The planet, once mysterious and dangerous, now felt alive with possibility. Humanity was not just surviving here, they were shaping the future. And in that moment, Alex realized something profound. Humans did not need perfect conditions, vast spaces, or ideal circumstances to succeed. All they needed was curiosity, intelligence, cooperation, and courage. With those traits, they could face storms, mysteries, and alien worlds, and thrive. Leora, observing the glowing hub, added softly, "We've only just begun. Seraphis 9 still has secrets, but we're ready. Humans always are." Alex smiled. Yes. And maybe, just maybe, there's room for both of us, in more than just one small room. Leora glanced at him, a quiet understanding passing between them. It wasn't about the bed anymore. It was about humanity's ability to adapt, survive, and excel, even in the most unexpected situations. Together, they had discovered not only the secrets of the artifact and the planet, but also the power of human resilience, intelligence, and unity. As night fell and the twin moons rose, casting a soft silver light over Seraphis 9, Alex and Leora returned to the outpost. The hub continued to hum, lights shifting in a gentle rhythm, as if acknowledging the presence of those who had unlocked its secrets. In the small, shared room, Alex placed his tools carefully on the table. Leora sat across, reviewing notes from the day. The room was still tiny, the bed still singular, but it no longer mattered. They had proven something far greater. Humans could not only survive, but thrive, even in the most alien environments. The story of Seraphis 9 was just beginning. And humanity, curious, clever, and determined, would be at the heart of it. In that quiet, glowing room, Alex thought again of the first day, the tension over the one bed, and the journey that had brought them here. A smile crossed his face. Humans had the power to adapt, to solve the impossible, and to find connection and purpose in the most unlikely of places. And maybe, just maybe, there really was room for both of them on Seraphis 9, in that tiny outpost, and in the future they were building together. The planet was alive with possibility, and humanity was ready to embrace it.